Hello there, it's Tania Gabrielle, Wealth Astro-Numerologist. Welcome to Star Codes. This is the podcast where we look at an upcoming event in the stars and numbers, the forecast in the astrology and numerology, and geodetic mapping. We're going to look at two events in the astrocartography geodetic mapping. The Taurus full moon, which we'll cover from all angles, the numbers, the stars. And also, we're going to do the geodetic mapping for Hurricane Melissa. Now, it's not even a hurricane yet. I'm recording this on Friday, October 24th, but it is slated to be a hurricane. And I just want to show you the forecast because of the impact to certain parts in the Caribbean. So let's start with the Taurus full moon. Now, it's exact on November 5th, 2025 at 1:19 p.m. That's Universal Time, London. That's 8:19 a.m. New York Eastern Time and 5:19 a.m. LA Pacific Time. This is a very important lunation coming right at the beginning of November with the sun in Scorpio, the moon in Taurus. The moon is exalted in Taurus. So anytime we have a Taurus new moon or a Taurus full moon, the moon is stronger. And this happens to be a supermoon. It's going to appear very large. And also it's at 13 degrees, which means the sun will be at 13 degrees Scorpio, the moon at 13 degrees Taurus. 13 is the divine feminine number, but 13 is the number aligned with the moon, along with the number 28. 28 days in a lunar cycle, 13 lunar cycles in a year, and 13 weeks in a season. So this is why it's referred to as the divine feminine number. And so it's going to be an extra potent supermoon and enhancing even your gifts and how you feel in terms of pleasure, how you feel treasured, because the moon is exalted in Taurus, which governs everything to do with enhancing what makes you feel good. It's ruled by Venus. It's a peace-loving sign. It's very down to earth, very set in its ways, very reliable and steadfast, and like I said, pleasure-loving, beauty-loving, very generous. Now, most aspects in this full moon are to Venus and Pluto, which is absolutely fascinating because, of course, Venus rules Taurus, but Pluto rules Scorpio, where the sun is opposite the moon. So we have even more magnification here that is going to make all the sacred geometry, which we're going to get to in a sec, even more potent. So Venus rules the full moon, Pluto rules Scorpio. A finger of God is pointing to Venus from Saturn and Neptune on one side and Uranus on the other. Now, if you remember, we had 3 fingers of God in September, we had 2 in October, and now here's the first for November. They keep continuing. They're actually quite rare when they happen. It indicates a time of destiny. So since September, when we had the 2 eclipses, these finger of gods have been extremely active because of the placements of these slow-moving planets. So here we are. We have that finger of God pointing to the ruler of the full moon that we need to focus on beauty, peace, pleasure, beautiful music, beautiful art, hand on heart, or everything that makes us feel treasured and appreciated. Venus is in its own sign, its other own sign of Libra, being pointed to for this finger of God, which makes it beautiful. And guess what? Venus is at 28 degrees Libra during this full moon, and 28 is the other moon number. So when you tie it all together, both Venus and the moon are representatives of the divine feminine. We've got the moon at 13 degrees. Venus has 13 phases. We got Venus at 28 degrees. The moon has a 28-day cycle. So we are really birthing this divine feminine energy. And if you recall, the last 2 new moons in Libra and in Virgo were at 28 degrees. So we have a theme going now in September, October, and now November that is really awakening the divine feminine. And that also includes watery energy. Remember, the sun is in Scorpio at 13 degrees. Watery energy is very much connected to the divine feminine. The womb, where the fetus grows, is water, and most of our planet is water. And we're going to get more into that water element later, especially when I get into the geodetic mapping. So we have this finger of God pointing to Venus, and then we also have a T-square that points to Venus, the ruler of the full moon in Taurus. This T-square is created by Pluto, which rules Scorpio, where the sun is, and Jupiter, which is exalted in Cancer. So we have a lot of watery energy by virtue of the planets and the signs that the planets are in. And this gives you a whole sense of abundance. When Pluto and Jupiter are connected via T-square to Venus, the two benefics are Venus and Jupiter. And then we have Pluto coming in, making everything empowering. This is very intense energy, but it's really pointing you again to that feeling of peace and inner confidence, because you are tuned into what actually brings you joy. And Jupiter, of course, is the planet of joy, and Venus, the planet of love. So we have the finger of God, we have the T-square, and then we have another major activation. We have Mercury and Mars conjunct each other in Sagittarius, a fire sign, and they are opposite to Uranus and Gemini. Now, this creates a lot of electricity. Uranus is at 0 degrees Gemini, Mars at 0 degrees Sagittarius, and Mercury at 5 degrees Sagittarius. This full moon happens on the 5th, and 5 is a number of the mind, of fast-paced energy, just like Mars opposite Uranus is and Mercury opposite Uranus is. So there's a lot of electricity. There's a liberating impact here with switching on this fast-paced energy and surprising events, and you can confront a lot of repression. You can extricate yourself from situations that may be where you feel hemmed in or boxed in. You just want to guard against communicating rashly or with anger. It's high-strung energy, in other words, and there can be a short-circuiting effect. So it's best to reschedule any important appointments if you have them around the full moon, which is on Wednesday, the 5th of November. Maybe wait until Friday, the 7th or so. That includes any major decisions. You just want to be very flexible and open, and then let things calm down. Now, the final really important sacred geometric activation is the grand trine that happens between Mercury and Mars, trine to Saturn and Neptune, and they're trine to Jupiter. So this is very incredible energies, deeply spiritual. It allows your imagination to soar. You can see the big picture because so many water signs are involved with Sagittarius, which is the sign of the big vision. And it just gives you an unlimited supply of energy and an increased desire to succeed because Mars is involved, Jupiter is involved, Mercury is lighting up your life. This is a time to take initiative and really benefit from the wonderful opportunities that are coming to you. There's just a strong surge of energy with this grand trine, and it also spiritualizes your mind, so you're very receptive and open to new ideas. It's really, really wonderful. Now, with Taurus, there is a real sense too with sticking it out and self-improvement and looking at abundance. Taurus governs the second house in astrology, which is the house of money that you generate personally, and how to use money as a tool so that you can become empowered. So Taurus enjoys learning about pleasure and money and becoming very self-aware about many things. And one of the things about self-awareness is the ability to take in information about how you're responding. So especially if you notice patterns that keep appearing, like you're looping like a hamster wheel, like doing the same thing over and over again, and seek self-improvement in that area. and use your strength, your inner strength, your willpower to want to improve, to learn new tools, to see how it feels to be fully immersed in what you love. When you work at something, when you want to learn something, for example, you work at it. You spend hours and days and weeks and months even refining what it is you're doing, sometimes years. It depends on what that is. But you get satisfaction from it because it is something you love, something that brings you something rewarding. It brings self-satisfaction. It brings you confidence. And these are all very Taurian themes. And then they result in the ability to attract abundance if it is in line with learning how to make that happen. Like there's a structure and you get a mentor, you understand how the whole setup is in order to bring what you love into reality. So this is a wonderful time to move into that, especially with all these incredible sacred geometric activations, the finger of God, the T-square, both to Venus, planet of abundance and love and pleasure, and then Jupiter very much engaged as well. So Jupiter's in that grand trine and in the T-square. Jupiter's is the other really big abundance planet along with Pluto as well. So there's a lot of opportunities here for you. Now I talk about these opportunities and extra forecasts in my free e-newsletter that I send out about 3 or 4 times a week. So if you want to get like regular updates on what's happening in the stars and numbers and how to use it for yourself and leverage these incredible star codes, sign up on my website, taniagabrielle.com. It's free and you get to hear even more details at a regular basis. So now is time to go to the geodetic mapping part of this forecast. We're going to do the Taurus full moon lines and what's intensified where in the world in a moment. First, let me just remind you that Neptune just a few days ago moved back into Pisces for the final time for just 2.5 months. But it's only going to be sitting on the 29th degree of Pisces, which is the final degree of the zodiac, the 354th, or let me see, the 359th degree of the zodiac. It's just sitting at 29 degrees Pisces for 2.5 months. That means it's basically stationing for 2.5 months, which is enhancing Neptune to the nth degree. And again, Neptune is in its own sign of Pisces. So this is important as I look at this hurricane Melissa. So keep that in mind. Now, Neptune is conjunct Saturn. Saturn is also in Pisces for the final time, just retrograded back recently and literally will be moving out along with Neptune early next year. So this is a really big Pisces emphasis because it's the final sign and they're both at the very, very end of Pisces. So they're wrapping things up. Saturn is about reality, responsibility, timing. Saturn governs Chronos, which is time, the timing of things, destiny, karma. And Neptune is water, unconditional love, cleansing, healing, oceans, rain, right? And the sun just moved into Scorpio as well, which is another water sign. And Jupiter is in the final water sign right now in Cancer. In fact, Mars and Mercury are currently in Scorpio as well. So there is a lot of watery energy now, right? We've got Mercury, Mars, and the Sun in Scorpio. We have Neptune and Saturn in Pisces. We have Jupiter in Cancer. There is a huge flow of this watery energy. So let's look at Hurricane Melissa. And before I get into the geodetic mapping, I just want to mention that the current name number for Hurricane Melissa is 50, which is very much connected to news and lots of people. The number 5 is the middle number of 1 through 9, and it represents a pivot point, but it also represents crowds and people, and 5 and 50 are connected to the news cycle. So having said that, and the current name numbers, by the way, we all have one, and it's the most important part of your numerology code in terms of the current code because you can change it. You can change the spelling if you have a challenging current name. Okay, I'm recording this on October 24th, so let's see what we can find because Melissa isn't even a hurricane today. So let's go to the geodetic mapping. So here you see a map, a geodetic map of the Caribbean Sea that includes Jamaica, Haiti, Cuba, and then the Gulf is here. And I am going to point out a couple things. First of all, we'll look at the moon transiting hour by hour. I'm going to pull the moon through. You're going to see it move in this direction. The moon is the fastest moving planet, and the moon will be over this area, as you'll see, right as the hurricane is projected to make landfall. So we're going to do that. And then I also want to point out that Venus is right here. Now this is very interesting to me. This line moves a lot more slowly than the moon. So it will remain over Jamaica, this area. And I find it interesting because this particular hurricane is named after a female. So it's named Melissa, and it's not a hurricane yet as I'm recording this on Friday. However, the reason I bring that up as well is the last two hurricanes that directly impacted Jamaica were Charlie and Gilbert. Charlie was 37 years prior to Gilbert, and Gilbert is 37 years prior to Melissa now. Isn't that extraordinary? So 37, of course, reduces to 10. 3 plus 7 is 10. And it ties into the general theme of new beginnings and instant manifestation. It is the God number. It is extremely powerful. I've mentioned it a lot, especially because we're moving into 2026, which is a 10 universal year. So that is actually very important information. So now let me show you. I'm going to start moving the moon. You can watch hour by hour. We're starting on October 27th at 3:22 a.m. That was just the way it lined up. Eastern time, New York, New York. And so let's start moving the map. So here we are on Monday the 27th. It's moving towards Jamaica. And on the 27th, as you can see, in the morning, the moon reaches Jamaica right there, right? So now we're at around 10:22 a.m. And we continue, and the moon crosses Jamaica that morning and early afternoon. It's transiting through, now moving towards Haiti, and still we're on October 27th, and it's still in the area. And now by the end of the day, by the 28th, it has moved through, to the Dominican Republic. Now the trigger though was at this time right here when the moon hit on the 27th. And as of Friday, the 24th of October, the projection is for the hurricane to intensify and then make landfall around this area, so most likely Jamaica. So I just wanted to show you that visual of the accuracy of geodetic mapping. Keep in mind the moon does rule a water sign, Cancer, and Jupiter is in Cancer. Jupiter is intensifying that watery sign, and Cancer rules the home. Cancer rules homes itself. It rules real estate. So this is all very important. And again, having Venus here as well. Venus is in its own sign of Libra at this time. I'll actually show you the map. So here you can see right on October 27th, and let me point out that there is a grand trine in the water signs that includes Jupiter right there in Cancer, 24 degrees Cancer, trine to Mars and Mercury in Scorpio, 24 degrees for Mars, 27 degrees for Mercury, and then they're all trining Neptune and Saturn in Pisces. So there are 5 planets, and Neptune is at home in Pisces. It is the sign associated with Pisces, so double watery energy there. Saturn is timing. Jupiter is exalted in the sign of the home, also a water sign, Cancer. And then, of course, Scorpio is the sign of power. Mars is the ancient ruler of Scorpio, conjunct Mercury, which shows news, right? Mercury is connected to news. So this is very, very important. And the other important thing is that Venus is in its own home sign of Libra. So Venus is very much enhanced in that sign. And so we are literally experiencing a powerful astrological and geodetic event, as you can see. So that was Tropical Storm Melissa, and soon to be hurricane, of course. So now let's move to the full moon in Taurus and look at where in the world the intensifications are in terms of the lines for the sun and moon. So we're going to start with North America. You're always looking for the gold line. You can see here, there's the moon, there's the sun. That represents the full moon. I'll hone in a little bit here. So the only landmass that this full moon goes through in this area of the world, and we have 4 areas as usual, is the Pacific Ocean and a little bit of Canada right east of Alaska. So the next moon line is right here. You see the sun and moon, that's the gold line. Again, it moves through Canada and close to Maine right there, and then dips into the Atlantic Ocean. And then it moves through South America, so Brazil, and then dips into the southern Atlantic. Now we're going to move to, well, this would be Russia and the Middle East. So here again is the gold line. You can see it move just at the tip there, and right through Georgia, Turkey, Syria, Iraq, Saudi Arabia, and into the very eastern part of Africa, Ethiopia, Kenya, part of Somalia, and near Madagascar, and then spill out into the, I guess this is still the Indian Ocean. Yeah, sorry if I got that wrong, but it will impact the Middle East for sure. So this area right here, okay? And then we move to the 4th activation of the full moon, and that goes through this earthquake prone area that we've seen activated so much recently. Here we see where we had the 8.8, etc. And here we see Japan. And then this full moon line dips into Indonesia and Western Australia. So you can see this is really intensifying. And one thing I forgot to mention is that November is an 11 universal month. So not only the 11th month, but an 11 universal month. So it opens the 11-11 portal. And that's highly significant because 11 intensifies the energy as well. It always brings us to the present moment so that we're only listening to our intuition and not to our chatter in the mind, which is only based on the past and is not intuiting and getting inspiration for whatever you need at this moment. It's your connection to Source. And Source is the theme for 2026. So these 3 months, October, November, and December, are totally lining us up for 2026 because it will be a 10 universal year, and 10 is the number of Source, of God. It is literally the God number made up of ones, straight lines, 0 for 10. That's the circle, which are the building blocks of sacred geometry and the whole universe, which is why our computer code has ones and zeros as the basis of the code. It's all gearing us up for next year. So I'm so excited to invite you to my 12th annual Ultimate Yearly Forecast. You can watch a video about it at 2026forecast.com. I will be revealing the secrets in the 2026 star code, the astrology code, the numerology code, both for you personally and collectively. As part of the powerful preview, I'm going to give you your forecast for your sun sign, your moon sign, your ascendant, meaning your rising sign, your personal year code, and most people have 2 personal year numbers that are activated during the year. Plus, you receive incredibly detailed guides for the year that you can use all year long of every cosmic event and so much more. Now, this powerful virtual event is streaming live on December 3rd. There'll even be a live Q&A where you can ask me any question. And the early bird discount is still available, so make sure you grab your seat now. Now, if you can't make it on December 3rd, we'll have an instant access replay, and you have a 15-day warranty as well. So really, you have nothing to lose. I so look forward to sharing with you all the incredible developments in the stars and numbers and beyond for 2026. So go to 2026forecast.com, grab your seat. Have an incredible Taurus full moon, a wonderful week, and I'll see you in our next video.